Hi, it's Tigo Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker. And I've got a very special guest this week talking about how the county figures out the value of properties and what the role is. And we have Damian Laura with the Bernalillo County Assessor. And so thank you for being here. I really appreciate it and talking about what you do, because I know it's a question that always comes up, especially in the real estate world.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having us
Of course.
here today, Tigo. We really appreciate it. We are very excited to work with not only with the realtor community, but all property owners and have an opportunity to explain what the Office of the County Assessor actually does and what kind of services and assistance we can really offer to all of the property owners here in Bernalillo County.
Perfect. Well, that's on my list. So we'll go into that. So I think even in the realtor community, there's some confusion. You have a county assessor, you have a county clerk, and you have a county treasurer. So I had Treasurer Bierce on not too long ago, and I kind of asked her the same question. But what does what does the assessor do versus the other two?
Well, absolutely. So in the life cycle of of a property owner, right? When you purchase your property, you file your warranty deeds or your mortgage or all of your titles of conveyances with the county clerk.
Yeah.
And that's their responsibility, really, to have the public documents stored, for whatever reason. If you lose yours, if there's a fire, you'll have those documents of conveyance and really tracking that. And the clerk serves as the repository of those public documents in the county office, in the county clerk's office. From there, you also file, your sales transfer affidavit, which I'm sure you're very familiar with the county assessor's office. The county assessor's office is responsible for applying and assisting property owners with their tax savings programs, right? Your head of family exemption. If you're a veteran, your veterans exemptions. If you're a senior citizen or if you're disabled, with your valuation freeze documentations. And we're also in charge of putting a value on your home, right? So not only do we use the county clerk's documents to ensure that we have identified the proper owner of that property, but then we also assist in ensuring that we put a value on that property. And so we're in charge of assisting with ensuring that you have disclosures like what is your valuation going to be after you purchase it, if your property is in a PID and how much that might be. So we assist property owners with that type of information and putting a value on property.
And then so in what Treasurer Bierce said is basically she's the bill collector.
Correct. So the county assessor has nothing to do with your taxes, contrary to popular belief. That's all Nancy Bierce.
Yeah.
And of course, the county commissioners who sort of set the budget for the county and your city council members who set the values and budgets for their taxing authorities. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So let me ask just about you. How did you get into? Well, first off, it's an elected position, correct? So how did you get down this road to being assessor?
Well, it's a long and windy road, as many of us in the real estate industry kind of say. Very few of us at the age of 5 say, I want to grow up to be the assessor or something like that. But so I have been in policy for many years.
Okay.
I'm an attorney by trade and worked as a staff attorney at the state legislature. I worked in the halls of Congress for a congressional member organization. And then during that time, I worked a lot and focused on the tax code. So gross receipts tax, income tax, and of course, property taxes. The former county assessor asked me to be her deputy assessor. And it was an opportunity for me to see really the implementation of that property tax code, the limitation on increases at 3% cap, and then what we've kind of learned to see as tax lightning and implementing all of those tax savings programs. So that's how I got into the position, into the assessment of homes for Bernalillo County.
So it's how long is your term then? How is it?
4 years.
It's a 4-year.
So we have a 4-year term, and then we're eligible for one re-election for another 4 years. So,
Got it.
but we can only serve 2 consecutive terms.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, that I mean, I kind of knew that, but it was I'd known that had a law background and so on. So it's just kind of interesting to find out. So let's jump into this. So you kind of said this, but what are the biggest like misconception of the assessor office and what the assessor does?
Right. So I think the biggest misconception is the tax portion of it, right? So while, yes, your value is used to determine the taxes, we really have no say. It's kind of one of these checks and balances. So a lot of property owners come in and say, hey, my taxes are too high. And then I say, okay, well, how much is your house worth? They said, oh, no, the value is fine.
Right.
It's the taxes that I have an issue with, and then unfortunately, all that the assessor does is put a value on it.
Yeah. So I'm sure you don't say it, but I can say it. It's like, no, not my department. Right?
Right.
It's obviously it's the. I don't want to get too wonky on this, but the way taxes are determined is done by the
yield
county
control formula.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So,
okay. There's a formula. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can kind of give you a quick
great.
synopsis of it, the way that we look at it. So, the assessor's office is charged with putting a value on all of the property, right?
Right.
And then you have all of the taxing authorities, county, city, schools, hospitals, all of that. And they send a budget over to Taxation and Revenue, DFA, local governments divisions. And then they say, how much money is it going to take to meet those budgets?
Yeah.
They take the value, they take the budget, and then they fill in the mill rate or the tax rate for your property. And that's really what sets your taxes for the following year. And that's based on where you live, whether you're a municipality. And so that's how your taxes are calculated.
So what properties do you assess? I'm assuming it's any property that could be taxed. Is that a fair way to put it?
Absolutely. So we value mobile homes. We value all real estate property. We value transmission lines, pipelines. We value business personal equipment. We value all of the things that are in the property tax code set for valuation. And then the state also values what's called centrally assessed. So if a company has assets across county lines, they're responsible for that. They're also responsible for things like railroad cars and things of that nature.
Wow.
They also value airplanes. We value the hangars and that type of property. The only real thing that we don't value are vehicles, because that's MVD.
Yeah,
you pay your tax, title, and license to Motor Vehicles Division.
Well,
but the rest of it we value in Bernalillo County.
I had the opportunity, unfortunately, to have to pay my MVD fees for Arizona.
Oh
my gosh, it is so expensive over there. Anyway, okay,
absolutely. And while taxes aren't my department, typically a quick way to figure how much your home is going to be valued, it's about 1.5% off of that value. Is just a quick way to kind of get a gauge of what you're going to pay in taxes. We are one of the lowest property tax states in the country.
And we say that in the real estate world, in the real estate space, as a real estate agent and real estate team owner here, we say that all the time. It's like, yes, maybe that house in Houston is less expensive, or you can get more house for the money, but you better calculate what the taxes are too, because property taxes are really high,
very high,
very high. So, I have talked about that before. One of the things that I'm always talking about is, yes, home prices have gone up a lot in New Mexico. No doubt about it. 50% in the last 4 years, for example, right? So, but yet we're still one of the more affordable communities, especially in the Southwest United States.
Oh, absolutely.
And
if you take advantage of your 3% cap, as well as your other tax savings programs, that really does protect you from that very high increase from year after year.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So first off, when a property transfers ownership, it gets reassessed, correct?
Correct.
What's the process there? So you get something from the clerk saying, hey, this property sold or transferred, whatever. How does that work then? How do you determine?
So first and foremost, we have to identify the ownership. And if, according to statute, if there's a change of ownership, and if there is, then the law requires us to bring that property up to its current and correct value.
Okay.
And we set that current and correct value very similar to how a real estate agent does a market analysis to determine if they're going to sell the house.
Yeah.
Right. And they could be right on, or they could be a little bit off. Right. You can list a house for $295 and end up it sold for $300,000 in a day.
Yeah, we always joke. You get 5 different appraisers to go out and put an appraisal on a property. You're going to get 5 different numbers, right?
Absolutely.
It's
so it is an opinion of value.
Yes. So when a property transfers ownership, it does get reassessed at that value, whatever that transfer value
January
is.
1st of the following year. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lag, and we've seen that before where people call us a year later and said, oh my gosh, my property value went, my taxes went up X amount. And
right. So that is why that disclosure is so important. And we really do try to work we have a new website that's going to come out, and it's going to provide that disclosure typically it's based on the sales price is what most realtors or most property owners put into that space.
Yeah.
A proper alternative would be sort of that market analysis put into that place. We do value as of January 1st of each year. So we use the previous year's sales. So we very similarly do a sales ratio study on what properties are being sold in that neighborhood for that square footage, for that condition, for that year built. And we use that to model a price per square footage. Now, we use what's called an International Assessing Office, Association of Assessing Offices, which is the IAAO. Those are our standards. For my administration, we stay within 110 to 80%. That's the industry standard. So we don't want to necessarily hit every house at 100% of market value. We probably want to hit between 90 and 85, maybe 80% of what we really believe to be true fair market value, because that's really what's most fair to the property owner.
Sure. And so let's talk about the other thing. So if you're in your home, there's a 3% cap, right?
Absolutely.
So explain that. I know that's a state statute, correct? Or state law, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yes.
So if I have a home and I haven't moved, actually, I haven't moved in 20 years, right? I'm actually in Sandoval County, but the assessment can only go up 3% per year. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's good to know, right? So like you said, just over the last couple of years, or even over the span that we were talking about, you said, properties have gone up 50%.
Yeah.
That can be very difficult for some homeowners to keep up with that level of inflation.
Well,
and
especially
that level of taxes.
people, we see a lot of people that maybe the home is free and clear. They have very little debt or no debt. They're on a fixed income. That could be a big problem for people, especially elderly people. Right?
Yes, absolutely. So it really incentivizes people staying in their home. And having some sort of
we don't want that right now.
Right, absolutely. But unfortunately, or fortunately, that's sort of the culture that we've seen in New Mexico, right?
Sure.
Families that have owned a piece of land for 100 years or things of that nature. So that's a policy decision that is made by the state legislature. But you're right. You're absolutely right. So what if I'm one of these families that, bought a starter home and then moved up to a little larger home when I have a family, and now I'm an empty nester.
Yeah.
But I've had that home, for 20, 25 years,
right.
From birth of my children all the way to them leaving the nest at 25 or 30 years old. And now I'm thinking,
maybe you're like talking about me
absolutely.
right now.
So now maybe you're thinking, maybe I want to downgrade my home,
Yeah.
but it may be that buying a smaller home may be valued at a higher rate than the home that you're currently on because of that 3% cap.
Yeah. Well, I'll just go off script here just a minute.
Absolutely.
We're seeing that a lot right now in the real estate world in Albuquerque, where you've got people that have basically a low home payment because mortgage rates were so low for so long. Right now we're at 7% mortgages, not 3 and 4% mortgages. And like you said, right there, they start looking at it, it's like, well, I could downsize. I don't need all this house, but they're going, well, it's cheaper for me to just stay put.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I was joking earlier. And I
Absolutely.
said, you know, no, we want people to list their home because, you know, you toured our office here, and, you know, we had some agents here who are working, and they're trying to find homes for buyers. There's a lot of people that want homes, and there's just very, very limited right now in our market. So, okay. That's my little pitch on the real estate market update. Okay. So you said, alluded to this a couple times, was programs, savings programs, tax savings programs. So kind of give me the bullet point list of what's available for folks.
Absolutely. So our property tax savings programs include a wide range for a lot of different individuals, right? So we have the most common. So if you own your home, it's the head of family, but that doesn't mean that you need to be, you know, married, or, you know, it's very different from your taxes. So it's single people that own their home, you know, families, single parent homes, or you know, married couples. All of those are included in that one, and that is $2,000 off the taxable value of your property. So that's a great incentive for people who are their primary residents.
Well, I know you're the Bernalillo County assessor, but is that statewide?
That is statewide.
That is statewide.
That is statewide. So all of these property tax savings are set by statute.
And I saw, wait, you're like the big head honcho, something with the state assessor organization or something, right?
Thank you so much. Yes, I was very fortunate enough to have been elected by all 33 unanimously. My peers, all 33 county assessors, both Republicans and Democrats, chose to elect me as the chair of the assessors affiliate for the New Mexico Counties Association.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're very excited about that. It's a great honor. It's a great responsibility. I have a vice chair, a treasurer, and a secretary who are also very knowledgeable. And I'm very happy to have a really good team who are very like-minded and wanting to advocate for property owners.
Yeah. Well, good. Sorry, I got us off track there. So, okay, we were talking about
so these are all
savings programs. Yes.
All of these are across states. So the county assessors really only answer to the state of New Mexico and Property Tax Division and the Director of Property Tax Division in setting and implementing state statutes. So while county ordinances or city ordinances may vary, your county assessor really follows the state law. And so that is a state law. The other one is for our veterans. We have $4,000 off the taxable value of your property. Or if you're 100% disabled, service-related service member, then you pay zero taxes. And that includes special assessments and all of the other things. So you're free and clear of paying any taxes if you're a 100% disabled veteran.
I just helped a client purchase a property, and that property fell into that category. And I'm like, well, you're going to get reassessed, but you're going to have a deal here for a little bit because, you know, obviously the taxes are in the rears. So
absolutely. And the veteran can choose to leave that exemption for the year current on their property, or move it to their new existing property. And we can help assist them with that as well.
Got it. Okay.
We also,
that's okay. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So you'll just have to flag that for us, or let them know, and let the veteran know, and the service member can come in and we can get that all squared away for them.
Cool.
We also have valuation freeze for disabled people with disabilities. So your value won't go up any further. There is
not even the 3%, just
not even
nothing,
the 3%, just zero,
just frozen,
frozen completely.
Got it.
So if you make less currently, and it goes up for inflation every year, there is an income requirement for that. Currently, it's $40,400, as well as for senior citizens, people who are 65 years of age or older, and also make make $40,400 or less.
Got it.
Qualify for valuation freeze.
Got it.
Now, as we've mentioned, sort of the misconception for this is like my property value was frozen, and we say, yes, your property value was frozen, but if the mill rate goes up, you're going to see an increase in your taxes, even though your value hasn't changed. Right. So that there is that caveat there as well that we want to make sure everybody knows.
Yeah. So let's talk about notice of values. I think
absolutely.
That's when we're talking, and by the way, we're talking to the Bernalillo County Assessor, Damian Laura, and I think that's probably what everybody knows the assessor for. Is I get this letter in the mail. You know, I own a property. I get this letter in the mail, and we get the calls. You know, in the real estate world, where it's like they get it and they go, maybe they're a first time homeowner and like, what do I do with this? What am I supposed to do? So I'm assuming that the notice of value is again, that's a requirement. It's a state statute. I would
Correct.
assume. Okay. And so what exactly is the purpose of that, and what should people do with it?
Absolutely. So, like most all taxes in the state, in the country, and not just in the state of New Mexico, we really are what we refer to as sort of a self-rendering system, right? The IRS doesn't tell you how much taxes you owe. You fill out a form and you tell them how much you made, and you kind of figure out and say, okay, this is how much I owe, this is how much I'm going to pay you, and then we're in charge to kind of figure that out. So similarly, really, every property owner by the last day of February is technically supposed to notify the county assessor's office if there's been a change of use in their property, what they're rendering, and those things. It doesn't happen. So the second opportunity is for us to try and get that information correct, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you might send out 3 different appraisers to the same property, and you may get 3 different values or opinions of value on that one. So this is an opportunity for the county assessor to let the property owner know, hey, this is what we have your property valued at. Did we get it right?
Yeah.
Second, these are the property tax saving programs that we think you qualify for and that you've submitted an application for. Is that correct? So those is the opportunity for the property owner to look at that value and maybe reach out to a realtor and say, hey, this is what my property is being valued at. Can you do a market analysis? Maybe I want to sell it. So typically I tell property owners, if you see that notice of value and you would sell your property for that value, you might want to come in and let us know, right? Or if you don't see a tax savings program that you might be eligible for, that's also an opportunity for you to come in and let us know. And so we will fix that at that time. You can file what we typically refer to as a protest or an appeals in other states. And you come in and we work very collaboratively. So my administration and my perspective is just that. It is an elected official position. We are advocates for property owners, and we want to work with property owners to ensure that they are maximizing their property tax savings and that we have the right value for their property.
Got it. I know I heard an analogy on this, but let me ask you, why do we need to put assessments? Why do we need to put values on every property? Why can't we just say, okay, you own a property, you pay this much. You own a property, you pay the same amount.
So property taxes are typically referred to as the most sort of progressive 3-legged stool of funding critical government services, particularly county services, our firefighters, our roads, our waste and water treatment, our garbage and everything else. And they have traditionally and historically been what's referred to as ad valorem. So value added is really translation in Latin for those of us who don't speak Latin.
Yeah.
And it is based on the value of the property. So you pay based on the value of your property. So the mill rate is going to be the same, whether that's 48 mills or 52 mills, you pay, that's the tax rate, and it's based on the value of your property. So we look at it at this analogy, right? Let's say 5 of us or 7 of us go out to dinner.
Yes.
And I order, the appetizer for an entree, and you decide to get caviar and lobster, $160 bottle of wine. And then to say, okay, we're going to split the bill in equal 5 parts. Doesn't seem very fair, does it? Right. So
that's the exact analogy I had heard too.
Okay.
It makes perfect sense. Yes. It's, it's, hey, if you want a $2 million house, that's great. That's fine. Just understand that you're going to pay a larger share than somebody in a $200,000 house.
And so technically the share is the same based on the value. So the mill rate is the same, just your value is higher. So that's why the percent or the multiplications is going to end up higher.
Math.
Yeah. So it's like the tip, right? The more you spend, the more the tip you're going to give.
Yeah. Got it. That makes perfect sense. This is my question because that's what I am. I'm the MLS president this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Awesome.
I've
been doing that. I've been volunteering with the Realtor Association for many years. But, the technology in the real estate world, in my world, has just it's kind of nutty,
Wow.
the prop tech world. But what are you guys doing technology wise to help you in your role and what you're doing and how you're coming up with values and then other, communicating with clients and so on?
Oh, absolutely. So
I say clients, I meant
yeah, and we do
owners.
see them.
Yeah,
And we do
they're
see them as
clients.
clients.
Yeah,
There are our clients. There
Yeah.
are our bosses.
Yeah.
We in our office we say that we all work together. Nobody works for anybody else. We only work for our property owners and for our clients, as you say. So there are clients and our bosses. So we have spent over $1 million upgrading our CAMA system. That's our computer assisted mass appraisal system.
Mhm.
We're also out rolling out a new information for our website that does a great job of doing community engagement, that provides services for property owners, like letting them know those disclosures of what your property taxes might be in the coming years, what valuations there are, and engaging those, as well as providing those property tax savings and giving them an opportunity to see where that money is going and where they can do to have those valuations adjusted, and working with our office to ensure that they're only paying their fair share of taxes.
Yeah, got it. Okay, no, that's good. And there's so many things moving so fast in what I call the prop tech world, where it's all these automated valuation models and all these different things that are out there. And I'm assuming you're doing the same type of thing in
Absolutely.
your space. Okay,
There's no way to value almost 290,000 individual properties one at a time, with one appraiser looking at each one. So we do a modeling system, CAMA system.
What resources, somebody has questions, they've got, just want to understand. Obviously we've got burnco.gov, and I'm assuming
/assessor.
Okay, easy enough. And what can people find there?
Absolutely. So they can find our tab. So we did just bring up revamping our value added website, a tab that says property tax savings programs. And you can see all of the list of property tax savings programs, whether you're a rancher, a farmer, or a senior citizen. All of the property tax savings programs are located right away. Second, we are really ensuring that we meet state statutes by providing those disclosures. If I am a new homeowner, what should I know? What might my taxes be in the following year based on my sales price or based on my sales market sales analysis? Do I live in a PID, in a public improvement district?
Yeah.
And how much is that going to be, right? So all of those things that you can find on there. We also ensure that we have all of those applications right on hand for you to be able to apply online and have really online services to go right onto the website, do it there. Or if you have any questions, you can come into our office. So our phone number is 505-222-3700.
Okay.
We are the only county department office that still has a live person that you can talk to. We may not have all of the answers for you, and we may have to transfer you to a different department. But if you're asking assessment questions, you can always talk to one of our incredibly knowledgeable customer service representatives to ensure that you know exactly what's going on with your property.
Well, that's great. I had a need to call the Torrance County, and all due respect to Torrance County, it's a small county. They don't have much of a budget, and it took me a while to get an answer, but
So absolutely, we do have an automated system for emails and everything else, but we do have live people. We can't always get you that answer right away, but we always follow up 100% of the time to make sure you have the answer to your question.
Well, in realtor community, obviously we appreciate the tax estimate tool that you have there, because when we help somebody buy or sell, or mostly on the buy side, we need to at least offer that person, this is what the home is going to assess at or potentially be taxed at in the future, based on the current sale price, not what it was in the past.
Absolutely.
So,
and that can be a big difference, like you've mentioned. For those of us
who
who've lived in our home for 20 years,
yeah,
it's going to be very different from somebody that buys that same house the following year.
Yeah. Well, Demian, Laura, Assessor, Bernalillo County, appreciate you coming in and talking to us. It was very informative, and I hope people get some good knowledge and information out of this. And again, it's
burnco.gov/assessor.
If you've got any questions about what they do and how they can help you. Thanks for watching, and take care.